lovers, the moon is a thing of beauty. But to this man it is a deadly curse. When the moon is full, this miserable wretch turns into a hairy, snarling half-man, half-beast. Prowls the night, his fangs thirsty for human blood. He is a werewolf.
Hello and welcome to the Werewolf by Night podcast, the show where we talk about Marvel's #1 lycanthrope, Jack Russell, a.k.a. the Werewolf, a.k.a. the Beast, a.k.a. the Shaggy One. I'm your co-host, Matt Howell.
And I'm Jacob Balcom.
Thanks for joining us this week, listeners. We have an esteemed guest, a good friend of mine, Rick Shearing here. Welcome to the show, Rick.
Thank you, Matt. Glad to be here.
So Jacob and Rick may or may not have met at some of our parties. We used to have these big backyard kegers where we'd hire bands and everybody would come, but some people are like ships in the night and they never actually meet at these big parties. So I don't think you guys have actually got to meet. So I'm glad that two of my great loves of friends are here together. And so Rick, I know you from our children, right? Didn't we meet through your oldest child and my child meeting at the park, and then we became co-families essentially?
Yeah, neighbors right next to the same park. Our babies were newborns, and there we were side by side at the infant swings.
That's right.
Yeah, looking at you going, hey, how's it going? Your kid looks about the same age as my kid. Oh, yeah.
And you had that same tired, dazed father look. I knew that we had stuff in common.
Yeah, we had to share a drink together to get over it. Yeah.
So you are an artist. Can you talk a little bit about what kind of art, fine art stuff that you do and your career and that kind of stuff?
Well, I'm currently, I'm making my living as a high school art teacher, but I've been involved in lots of different art fields in the past, working for different corporations, magazines, different places around the country and abroad a little bit. But currently I'm working as a ceramic artist for probably the past 10 years. I've had some random shows and just been enjoying that exploration. But yeah, that's been my main focus is ceramics lately.
And so I have one of your amazing pieces on my piano, which I cherish. Can people find you online? First of all, do you sell your stuff?
Yeah, I'm open to it, of course. You can find me online at, probably the best place to go right now is Shearing Clay. My last name, Clay, Shearing, as in like cutting sheep hair. And that's on Instagram, Shearing Clay. Check that out. You can see my latest stuff there.
Cool. And so if somebody goes to Instagram, follows you there, looks through your feed and sees something and they bond with it, they can message you or something like that and say, hey, would you part with this? Right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Let's have a dialogue. Let's talk.
I love your stuff. We are also comics fans, and I know that you loaned me some Vampire Tales from the Eerie publications a while back, so I know that you love some lurid 70s horror stuff, or early 80s. Whatever.
Took me a while to get that one back.
It did. I didn't want to give it back. I'm not gonna lie. I love that old trashy stuff. Talk a little bit about your history with comic books, your relationship with comic books, and like what turns you on, what you're into, that kind of thing.
Well, I grew up in the middle of nowhere, and there was hardly even any comics sold. I don't even know if there was comics sold at any stores around me. It was like a diamond in the rough for a kid to get a hold of one where I was at. But the comics I had as a kid were just like the old 70s horror comics, like the one that you saw, like old Eerie, creepy, Tales from the Crypt, that kind of thing. I remember I liked Conan the Barbarian as well. But I was a huge horror fan when I was a kid, and just getting my hands on all those, like really crumply, they were all dog-eared and just cracked up, but I just would get those. I have no idea where I got any of those either in any of my memories where I acquired those. But yeah, that's kind of what I got into. And I didn't have very many, but what I had, I hold on to and I cherish.
You're a cherisher of things. I think you're
yeah.
You don't waste things. You know, you come from good New York, upstate New York, like farm stock, so you know the value of a penny.
Oh yeah. Waste not.
When have you stayed into comics for like most of your life, or what's that? Because we've only mostly talked about stuff that you read when you were a kid like this.
In and outs. It depends upon my exposure at the time. One of the last schools I worked at, there was a guy who I worked with who taught cartooning, and his whole classroom was it was a huge library of comics everywhere. And I shared a room with him part-time, and I remember at that period I was taking home boxes of his stuff for like a week and borrowing them and reading them. I run across it here and there, but it's not completely steady through my adulthood. But I've never lost interest in it, but it just comes and goes. With a lot of other things going on too.
Did having kids kind of help reignite some of that? Because I know your kids were like into is it Amulet? What was that one? YA.
Oh, yeah. Yes, Amulet. They were huge, especially when they were younger, and they still are actually into graphic novels. And Amulet, I think, got them onto it, and they still read it. And but the thing was, I remember how many years was it before they were born? I had tons of comics that I acquired later on in my late 20s from somebody when I lived down south in the West Coast. And I hauled those around the country for years going, someday I'll have kids and they'll want to read these. But they never read any of those. Not a single. They only liked the ones they liked, and they just kind of just threw them aside. But, you saw some of those. I showed them to you. But
you also gave me a birthday present a few years back. I think you were just unburdening yourself of things you didn't want to drag around anymore, but it was just a big stack of Bronze Age stuff like Phantom Stranger and the Spectre and all the old 70s war stuff, which was a perfect present for me. I was happy as a pig in shit.
I'm glad you liked it. I had some treasures in that box. I mean, some insanely old comics, and I remember trying to then find this has got to be worth money, and then I thought maybe about seeing if I could sell them, but it's no. Then I realized, of course, they have to be glass to be anything. So it's okay, yeah. Even though this seems like it's worth a lot to me, that's this nostalgia. This isn't anything to a collector.
Yeah. Although I do remember when you were selling off a bunch of your stuff a couple of years back, I felt like you kind of had all your stuff laid out and all kind of grouped by what you thought the value was down in your office down there in the basement, and you had a lot of indie stuff, which does actually have value. If it was anything that was, became something later on, those 80s indie black and white stuff, those things can be very valuable. You just had some stuff I hadn't seen in the flesh before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I should have just gave them all to you.
Yeah, you should have. Much to my wife's chagrin, she would have hated that, but whatever. So you've already said that you kind of dig the 70s stuff and the horror stuff. So have you read Werewolf by Night? I
have never read that before, no.
Well. This is exciting. You're probably going to have some questions for us once we dive in. Because we're definitely midstream.
It has some serious undertones, that's for sure.
Yeah. Oh, good. Well, that's what you're here for. So, Jacob, I did want to mention, I was digging through something today, I don't know, Twitter or something, but I saw that there's a Spider-Man one-shot Curse of the Man-Thing, and this is a 3-part series of one-shots. There's the Avengers, Spider-Man. No outlet said what the third one was, but it's all to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the character and a new series.
Yeah, I saw that in the listings. And so the other one is X-Men, right? I think
that's what it is.
I think I saw that in the listings today. Yeah. So I'm not sure if they're out. I think the first issue might be out. And it was I think it's a 3-part or 4-part Curse of the Man thing. I can't remember. There might be one more. But yeah, I'm very curious to check that out.
I am too. But once I saw that it was not just a one-shot, I didn't email my comic shop and say throw that one in my box because I'll just wait for the trade. Me. But I was not aware there was a new series coming out.
I wasn't aware of that. No, that's great.
And they're saying this is these one-shots altogether as a story are redefining the character, which always makes me one testicle go up inside my abdomen, and the other one get really excited.
Yeah, I think that's a really accurate description of how I feel too. No, and you and I have said this on the show a lot. We don't mind old characters being revamped or being changed if it's cool. I don't mind that at all. I think things should shift and evolve, but yeah, it's always a crapshoot. You just never know.
Yeah, the Spider-Man, I think it was Spider-Man that came out today, sounded interesting. It had Kirk Connors in it. Kirk Connors and Ted Sallis were colleagues, so I'm already interested. You know what I mean? I love the Lizard. I love Spider-Man. I love Man-Thing. Rick, are you a Man-Thing guy?
Not that. I don't have that much exposure to it, no.
Are you more of a Swamp Thing guy, or?
Oh, yeah, yes. I had old Swamp Things.
Yeah.
Just through my history, yes.
Yeah, so I'm excited about this Man-Thing. I'm going to wait for that trade of these one-shots and see what people say about the new series before I jump in. I don't know. But fingers crossed. Anytime a Bronze Age horror Marvel character gets another shot, like with Werewolf by Night and Taboo and Ben, it's exciting to check out. And we really enjoyed the new Werewolf by Night series. Rick, there was a Taboo from Black Eyed Peas, and Ben Jackendoff did a 4-issue limited series this fall, entirely reinventing the character Werewolf by Night. So it's a name only. He's a Native American youth who is like kind of more of a skinwalker, and it's more of he has his intellect. So when he changes, he's still himself essentially, but doing kind of cool social justice stuff down in the desert of New Mexico, or I think it was, or Arizona. I forgot, but it was really cool. It was a neat take on the title.
Yeah,
so
it seems like that would put a lot more into the character. Yeah, being able to give him that consciousness.
Yeah, it's not so much like the OC with fur.
Yeah.
Which is what I love about the 70s one of Werewolf by Night, but whatever.
The classics. Yeah.
Yeah. You guys ready to dive into Werewolf by Night 27, Jacob?
You know it.
All right.
Do it.
So we have a cover here by Gil Kane, inked by Tom Palmer. And I have to say, just looking at this must have given 12-year-olds around the world brain boners. This is like everything that feels like you could not get away with this in 1975. I mean, it is Lovecraftian eldritch horror, cosmic god, like writ large, fighting a werewolf. Like, how would you pass this up?
No, it's bonkers. Like, and yeah, I thought the same thing. I was just like, there's no 12-year-old boy that could resist buying this. And it's ridiculous and totally nuts.
The werewolf definitely looks like he has his work cut out for him on this cover. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of The Thing, from that story.
Oh, the John Carpenter's thing?
Yeah.
Totally. So, folks, if you haven't seen this, what we have here is a giant, probably 4 times the size of the werewolf, indescribable thing. The best way to reference it is like Rick said, like when the alien has adopted several life forms throughout the film, and so when it manifests, it just has a wolf head in it and a person's face and all these spindly spidery things, but it's this giant slathering beast with eyes on long tentacled stalks, a huge gross tongue like a snake's belly coming out, and just tentacles, slime dripping off of it, and in one of its tentacles it has our hero wrapped up in it. And the werewolf is not happy about this, and he's slashing with his claws, and he's cutting the monster's tongue in half while goo squirts out of it. And it says Scourge of the Soul Beast.
Brutal.
This might not be an iconic classic Werewolf by Night cover, but I think it's up there in the top 10 for me. I love this one. I've always loved this one. Shall we dive in?
It's just not a slimy beast. It's a soul beast.
It's a soul beast.
Yeah. Scourge of the Soul Beast.
And it's super bad.
Endless interpretation of that.
Yeah. Even though it's funny, on the next page, on our opening page, the title of the story is not Scourge of the Soul Beast, which it really should have been. The title is The Amazing Dr. Glitternight. I
love that musical.
Oh, it is. I want to have a little clicker to count all of the Dr. Glitternight jokes we're going to make from here to the end of the series. Because there's a lot. Like, there's a lot you can say. But we're going to meet our new villain, Dr. Glitternight, and he's going to be around for a while.
Right. And just to preface this, Jacob, before you dive in, Rick or anybody who's just jumping on the show, the werewolf doesn't have typically many recurring villains. One of the running jokes we have on the show is that if you meet the werewolf, you usually don't survive the issue. Like, he doesn't have a lot of recurring villains. He doesn't have a rogues gallery. He usually just ends up killing them or they die incidentally. So we feel like this character that's being introduced this issue was an attempt to create like a Green Goblin or a Joker or something for this character. And they kept bringing him back a lot, and a lot of fans do not like this character for some reason.
Really? So
Glitternight.
Yeah. Is that kind of the consensus among the Werewolf by Night fans, is that Dr. Glitternight is no good?
He is. I see very little love for Dr. Glitternight anywhere.
I mean, you've read these issues. I haven't read any of these issues. And
okay.
and you've read these. What do you have to say? How can you prepare us for this long run?
It honestly just felt like when I was reading through this the first time 20 or 15 years ago, it was just kind of like, oh, fucking Dr. Glitternight again. Like, yeah, he felt like he was a little too much everything, and was too omnipresent. Like he was never gone long enough for you to miss him before he was back again.
Yeah, he's not a great villain. God bless Doug Munch. He tries, and his style can get kind of weird. So anyhow, on this opening page, we'll take the list of creators. We have Doug Munch, writer; Don Perlin, artist; we have Karen Peacock, letterer; Phil Rachelson, colorist; and it's Len Wein editing. He has taken over the title from Roy Thomas.
Rick, Len Wein, I'm sure you know Len Wein from Bronze Age comics, but he wrote from like issue 5 to I think 11 or 12. So this is his first return back to the book, but as an editor.
Good job.
Move it up.
He did not share that sentiment. Yeah, no, he hated being editor, and even though I think he held on for a year or two, or maybe a little longer, but yeah, he did not like it at all. So anyhow, this page is kind of amazing. I mean, as goofy as the character is, and as bizarre as the monster is, and the monster looks much more sponge-like on this. Like, he looks like, kind of like one of those dinosaurs that you'd squirt with water, and they'd kind of, bubble up like a sponge. It kind of reminds me of that a little bit. And wow, like so much of this, of the narration of this intro is just kind of, it's rough. Like I was going to read the whole thing because I'm like, oh, it's so interesting. But no, I'm not going to do that. I might even just skip. So I'll read the first bit. He says, I've never been a fan of triple entendres, preferring instead to cast my allegiance to Brando, Bogart, and the Stones, with squashing pennies on railroad tracks coming in a strong fourth. So Rick, he has this kind of, everyman yet kind of beat poetry thing going on. It works a lot of the time, and sometimes it just falls flat. I was reading actually recently this really big Doug Munch interview in Alter Ego, the comic history magazine. And there was a story that he told in there that kind of made me think about his writing style a little bit. So Matt, you and I have talked about before he came to Marvel, he wrote a lot for Warren. And he ended up like just sending him in some stories and forgetting about it. He sent him in 5 stories, forgot about it. And then like a couple months later, he got a check in the mail for $125. So that's $25 a story that Jim Warren was paying.
They bought all 5 of them?
Yeah, they bought all 5 of them. And at this time, he's working at night for the Chicago Sun-Times newspaper. He's manning the communications room. So it means he's in a little room in front of like the AP and the UPI like teletype machines.
Yeah.
And so he has to make sure, basically, he just has to watch them and make sure the paper doesn't run out. So that's his main gig. And so during this, he has a lot of downtime. So he's also writing all these stories for Warren at night.
So that's the stuff. That's the machine that was running in the intro of every Kolchak episode. That's the teletype machine, right? Okay.
Yep, absolutely. And so yeah, he was like in this little room from like 1 to 9 in the morning, and also just was writing a ton of shit. And so, but he actually ends up writing an article at the paper about his time working on the black and white horror magazines, and he actually got Russ Heath to do like this full page painting for his article.
Damn.
And it got him some good press. And so he had this editor that went to him and is just like, hey, you're young. I want you to like write an article for us that's kind of in a weird style, kind of shake things up. And Doug was like, oh, like stream of consciousness. And they're like, yeah, whatever. Just do that. And so he decided to write this article about violence on the Chicago subway, I think on the L train. And it is. I really want to find this article because it totally sounds just like Kerouac talking about subways. And it actually gets him nominated for a Newspaper Guild Award.
Holy shit.
He said that like when he went in the day that it was published, like the entire newsroom like gave him a standing ovation. And so because of all this, like he was completely enabled to just go wild with his beat style because he was rewarded.
Yep.
So it's this really, really funny way that he's describing all of it. And it just got him really jazzed up to kind of have this beat style. And man, we get a lot of that in this. I have definitely noticed.
So sometimes it lands and we're grooving with it. Sometimes it clanks and we're kind of like, ugh. This one, I literally read the first panel box or whatever and said, huh? And I read it again. I read the whole page and I went back to the first one again. I was like, I still don't get it. What do Bogart, Brando, and the Stones have to do with entendres?
Yeah, I don't know. He's just riffing, and he's
feeling it.
He's feeling it, and he's in that style. But yeah, no, the writing in this is not great.
That's his trifecta, I guess. You know, how are we supposed to relate or know that? I won't.
Well, and also, squashing pennies on the railroad tracks is the strong fourth for him, which it also doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So I'm just going to skip basically reading any more of this narration and kind of talk about. The page is really cool. It's this full, page illustration of Dr. Glitternight kind of looming over the beast, fighting with the sponge monster. So it's a cool page, but yeah, there's so much narration on it, and it's really busy and kind of poorly written. Yeah,
the monster looks very different than he did on the cover. It reminded me of the. Did you ever have the Death Star playset?
I don't think I had the Death Star. No.
So in the trash compactor. In the bottom, remember the little creature in the trash compactor, Rick?
The little green. He's the little green guy with the eyeball that came up.
All the debris in the playset was different colored sponge chunks, and there was a monster in there. That's kind of what he looks like. I
had that right here in this room. I just sold it a few years ago.
I hope he's got some money for it.
A little bit. I had to make some space for some things.
Oh, okay. So yeah.
That to you.
On the next page, I was again confused. There was some stuff here where I feel like Doug has been writing this title for 7-8 issues now, and sometimes he doesn't seem to understand. Like I feel like he didn't read the first 20 issues or something, because sometimes I don't get how he's approaching these characters. For instance, this guy Buck Cowan, who is this older guy who is a writer that has befriended Jack early on in the run. He's portrayed as like this man's man, like a Hemingway kind of meets Hunter S. Thompson, like writer dude. And here it says it all started on the first night of the full moon after we got back from Transylvania, which was our last issue, at Buck Cowan's Malibu beach pad. And we see this really nice beach house on the literal beach. And like this dude's house that we've seen every issue up until now is a hovel down on Venice Beach. So like with bars on the window, kind of a place. Like it's down by a freak show of Venice Beach in 1970s. So I don't understand how he has this. I would think if Buck had a second place, it would be a Jim Rockford trailer down on the beach. Where he just moves it every 6 days so he doesn't get busted.
Okay, I'm glad you said that because I was really confused. I was just like, wait a second, why does he have suddenly as a kick-ass? Yeah, it's a Malibu beach pad.
Yeah, it's a mansion. It'd be on VRBO.
Yeah.
So we cut to the scene in media res. The full moon is looming over this beach pad and the crashing waves. And Topaz says, Jack, listen to me, please. Jack, don't do it. And she's trying to restrain Jack, but she doesn't have her full powers back. So she can't do the psychic tether that she does to control him or give him his own mind back so he doesn't act like a ravening lunatic. So the first thing he does is Kool-Aid Man out and through another giant plate glass window, big glass, doing their goddamn thing again. So he's escaped. She can't control him. He goes off. It very much just storms down the beach. It looks like Robert Crumb's Keep on Truckin', like just cruising down the beach. And meanwhile, back in the house, Buck says, Topaz, your arm, are you all right? And we see that the beast slashed her on the arm when he was escaping while she was trying to restrain him, which is not very in keeping with the way the beast is with Topaz. The beast usually knows who she is and loves her and cares for her or whatever. But, she just says, my powers aren't fully restored. I couldn't hold him back. And he was saying, I don't know, Topaz, even he doesn't know, what he'll do while he's out running around. So the beast is storming down the beach. He comes to a cliff face and sees a giant cave up halfway up this cliff with this creepy red light emanating out of it. And so he goes and just starts climbing towards it because trouble loves him. He loves trouble.
He does. Did you I was kind of laughing because I remember, I think I even heard it in a Kolchak or something else when Topaz is talking to Buck and she's like, oh, it's Jack. I failed him, Buck. He attacked me. I couldn't control the beast within him. My what I would pronounce as Esper powers still haven't been fully restored. And yeah, that reminded me, I think that was as another term for ESP, but yeah, it was like the cool hip 70s way to say it. I think I heard Leonard Nimoy say that on In Search Of.
That sounds
he had a really cool turtleneck on. Yeah.
70s.
Yeah, it is. It is
nice,
70s.
Yeah. He had a lot of nice turtlenecks. This just reminded me a lot of like me having to get out at night, maybe on a weekend. This page right here, but unlike my experiences, my wife would usually try to get me out of the house instead of holding me back. but how he's running down the beach, like I related a lot to the werewolf right there when it comes to maybe like a Friday night or something. I was really connected.
This is a good night for that. I think we're still in April's pink moon. We're in a super pink mood right now.
Oh, yeah.
This is night 2 or night 3?
I think it's night 3.
Yeah.
So it's been beautiful.
Last night for Wilden.
So the next page, the beast is drawn into this nearby cave. He likes. It's funny. He likes glowing lights, but super bright lights like at the Orly Airport freak him out.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Yeah, me too. It's totally us. And so he kind of, I love that second panel when he's peeking in. It's kind of, it's really goofy and actually made me laugh. But he sees this like strange man at an altar, and this bottom, or the narration, read, a large black egg seemingly composed of opaque glass, a rock-hewn dais, and a strangely garbed man whose outspread cloak masked a clear view of the dais. And so, it switches to a kind of a top view, and we see what's on this altar. And it's Topaz, or a much smaller kind of version of Topaz that we've seen before, her weird tulpas.
Yeah. And in the 70s, they would have called it midget Topaz, but we don't.
Yeah.
We don't say that.
Yeah, we don't. No. But I like it. The description says, but a topaz which glowed like a hippie poster under black light.
I think I had that one.
Can I have it?
Yeah.
I think he looks like he's being born out of. In the second panel, it looks like he's being born.
Just crawling his way out of the womb. Yeah.
Yeah.
Terrifying. And then, in that bottom panel, we see for the first time, like Dr. Glitternight's thing is just shooting different colored light from like a weird cavity black hole in his chest.
This looks wrong.
So Munch has already checked off, like he glitters, there's glowing, and it's night. Well, we haven't got to the black light yet, the whatever. So I do like that Munch just went kind of all in here and just made a stoned, crazy scene. Like a giant black egg. Yeah. Which made me think of that, that Nightcrawler song, Little Black Egg? It's always on Nuggets comps and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That song? It was in my head the entire issue because of this.
Oh, that's great.
And he's wearing like a cloak like in Monos, Hands of Fate. Have you ever seen that? Giant, describe this guy, please. Somebody. Rick, what does this dude look like to someone who hasn't read this issue yet?
Patrick Stewart a little bit. Or is that because he's just bald? I'm not sure. That robe is just insane. It's the glowing chest that is like pulsating from his essence that flowing over the little tiny ghost girl is just like kind of suspicious, where I'm like, what's really going on here? It's all the subtext of this. I want to know what's happening in the private life of this writer. Well, that's what I'm getting from the whole thing at this point.
I was just going to ask Rick. So, what do you have any context coming into this issue? Did you even just like do a Wikipedia on Werewolf by Night, or did you just say fuck it? I'm just going in totally blind, and I'm just going to give my opinions on this pure experience.
Yes, I try to be without context.
Nice.
So this is going to be particularly bonkers. Yeah.
Because every issue is someone's first issue. This could have been your first issue back in 1975. You could have found this. Someone could have had this in a underwear drawer in some cabin you stayed at a summer camp. You could have found this in 1980, all dog-eared and tattered.
Yeah.
There you go. And just get my first time now.
Jacob, can you see any inspiration for Dr. Glitternight just so far in what we've seen? I was grasping.
Like where he comes from or who he's kind of based on a little bit.
Yeah, just like as a character.
I really can't. Like it's just stupid and weird enough, and that perfect combo of stupid weird that I can't think of something to compare him to or some kind of other analog. Aside from like pics you were sending me of Vincent Price. So that just made me, all I could think of is Vincent Price as Egghead from Batman.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or Doctor Strange possibly, because, Ambulance there as well. But
okay.
Vincent Price too.
I actually think your description of the guy in Monos with the mantle, that's pretty good. But yeah, he's really interesting and really boring, and so he kind of becomes nothing almost.
Yeah, I think that is everyone's issue with him. One thing to note that on his cloak that he wears, which is almost like a dashiki or something, he has these yellow fins that come up on either side of his ears. So he has like 6 to 8 inch tall yellow fins on top of a blue cloak, which I thought was a very odd touch. And I love when people have costumes that are completely impractical. Like, this doesn't have any practical purpose. Why would you wear this flare? But anyway, we go to the next page, and we see that Glitternight is bathing this small effigy, tulpa of Topaz, with this light coming out of his chest. His eyes shift to black, and then they turn white as the intensity of the light increases. And he has this weird thing with his eyes. He either is described as having no eyes, white eyes, black eyes, depends on what his powers are doing at the time. But I do like the way that Perlin handled the effigy in these 3 panels of as the light intensifies and becomes more and all encompassing until all you can see really is Glitternight's head as these beams are shooting out of him. Topaz is drawn with these ghostly lines, and she's kind of like, I don't know, it's not cross-hatching because there's no cross. Rick, what do you call that?
It would just be hatching.
Just hatching? Okay. Well, that would make a lot of sense. But I love the way that she's kind of growing and being filled by this, obviously by this energy, but it looks really cool and creepy. But then it just says the room just exploded, and there's this middle rectangle panel, which is just chaos. There is starburst explosions of red rays coming out everywhere, a giant bluish eye shape with a red and black swirl in the center of it, and then just a bunch of explosions in different colors all around. Just I think he calls it a berserk rainbow, but there's not a sound. It's just creepy, eerie silence. And then once the glow dies down, we see where Topaz is that gross monster thing. So he has somehow used his powers to make the tentacle grossness. And once the werewolf's eyes dilate or constrict on it, and he can finally see what's going on, he starts growling. And Dr. Glitternight hears that and says, okay, Jacob and I joke that every villain sounds like the Monarch from the Venture Brothers. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but they all just have that screechy kind of 80s cartoon villain voice. But they frequently refer to how his voice sounds like nails on chalkboard and is brittle. So he really does sound like the Monarch, right?
He does.
But he says, who? A were-demon, a homunculus sent by my enemy. So he's shocked. And Jacob, I don't want to bore lines or get into the whole thing, but were-demon is not werewolf. It's almost like he's looking right at a werewolf and doesn't see a werewolf for being a werewolf, even though he could almost spit at him.
Just put it in a letter and send it to Roy Thomas.
I was going to have a drink because, in my opinion, so Rick, we have a drinking game, and one of them is when someone doesn't recognize that the werewolf is a werewolf, which happened a lot in the early issues, we had a little sip.
Right.
It's usually someone thinking he's a hippie in the dark because he's hairy. But this one, I'm kind of blurring this a little bit, but this counts.
No, it definitely does. And so, on the next page, so Dr. Glitternight has his monster. He's birthed this monster and sicks him on the beast. I like that the monster is described as having tentacles coated in suppurating slime, which I thought was pretty good. Like I
had to look that word up. I didn't know.
Yeah, I did too. I like that. What is it like pertaining to pus,
like festering or producing pus?
Yeah, it was a cool word to use at that. So this is the first time I laughed out loud in this issue. Was the bottom row of panels, the middle one, and so the beast is fighting with this monster. Dr. Glitternight suddenly glides above them, kind of bathing them in red light, and he's in like a silhouette in that second panel, and he's a flying squirrel. Like he looks like a flying squirrel.
Or those flying squirrel suits people have now, right? Where you can jump out of a plane.
Yeah, but I couldn't. I mean, not like I was taking him seriously before, but after I saw that, that's all I'm ever going to think of.
Yeah, and levitating like that, like a drone, just above and just bathing them in his light.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's really creepy, and other times it's really goofy.
Yep.
It's for me, this is the resonating thing from this point on forward. For me, is him floating around like a kite. And I just had this voice in my head. I was like, "Look at me! I'm a kite!" And I thought somebody had a string on him or something. I'm like, "Who is this? What's this?"
I like it. I also like that Munch went to the trouble of looking up stalactite and stalagmite and made use of it through the entire issue.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it
time
is.
Well spent.
No, it is. He's almost proud of knowing the difference. Which, I used to know. I needed to be reminded. So no, thank you, Doug. That helped.
Yes.
But he never did say which is which, though.
No, he makes you look it up yourself so you can learn.
Who says comics are trash?
Yeah.
The monster, which has been bathed in Glitternight's light and imbued with some kind of power by it, I guess. Like, the more you feed it, the stronger it gets. It grabs the werewolf and throws him into a stalactite. He wonders if his back is broken or not, but it's not. He just can't move. He's stunned. And Glitternight continues to hover over them as the beast grabs onto him again because he's stunned and says, "Grasp him and drag him down the corridor to the mouth of our cave." So the monster does this. They go out on the cliff face, and you get to see this, again, that weird little, he's in silhouette, just like a little black kite above the cliff, bathing this all in red. The beast is raising the creature is raising the monster up above his head, and the werewolf gets the wherewithal to just sink his claws into one of the tentacles, and this green goo starts gushing out. And at that point, the creature was mid-hurl, throwing the monster into the ocean, so it goes with him. So they go ass over tea kettle, And the funny thing is that the creature goes, fuck me, goddamn, what are we gonna call this thing? The soul beast, the soul. What was the cover?
I think either monster or creature works. It's different than beast.
Okay, so the creature lands first, and so much like a stuntman landing on a giant inflated, balloon thing, the werewolf lands on him and is not harmed at all. And then he just gets up and just bolts. I just love that the werewolf just splits. It's like everything's an Irish goodbye. Just like, yep, later. Glitternight has come down to check on his creation, and he's like, quickly, my child, drink the strength which is Glitternight. Which, how did that not catch on as a phrase? You have not been born to die. You must absorb my light and let it nourish you. Let it feed you and fill you with life. The life of Glitternight.
This guy's got problems.
As his chest is just bathing this thing. Ugh.
Yeah, he's so creepy and weird. And man, he says his name so often. I mean, he's a third person guy. He just loves...
he's self-promoting. He'd do really well in the internet age.
Disco, baby.
Smash that subscribe button. Notifications. Whenever a new Glitternight video comes out. And I did elide over something. There is a great panel of once the werewolf wounds the monster and it starts, they both are falling down the cliff as Glitternight floats overhead. And they're all in silhouette. But there's some terrible Munchian stuff here where it says, true, I wasn't Jack, but neither was the Yek monster Jill. We both came tumbling down, and never mind the pail of water.
Yes, so bad. Yeah, I actually think this is one of his worst written issues. So many lines don't land, and at least half of his lines land normally. But this is, for an issue that's supposed to debut this brand new character that's going to be his arch nemesis, it's really badly written.
Yeah, it is. It's corn dog.
Yeah, it's completely corny. Even though, so like you said, we always laugh when he takes off too. He's done that a few times, and yeah, both you and I love that. It is. It's funny every time.
Ronnie Dobbs or something.
Yeah. So on the next page, at the top, we get this really long, kind of skinny panel. It's kind of a brand new kind of transformation panel, I thought, which was cool. It's long, and it shows the beast like stumbling, falling down, and then finally getting up in his human form. So it's this really neat movement, kind of flowing movement of transformation. It's really cool looking, and I don't know, I think Perlin is still pretty successfully trying to mix up the transformations. There's a pretty bad one in this issue too, but I think he's done it a lot of different ways. Maybe not as inventive as Plug, but pretty good.
I really dug that transformation panel.
Oh, it's super badass. And so, yeah, he's back in his human form. He shows up outside of a Buck's beachside mansion, and Topaz and Book kind of rush out to meet him. He tells them all about the crazy fucking night he's had with some guy named Dr. Glitternight. I like how Topaz, they're all sitting down in the sand. Topaz is like, oh, Dr. Glitternight, then he's decided to come after me. It wasn't enough for him to steal a part of me. And Jack's really, surprised. He's like, after you, this Glitternight dude? And she's like, yes, Jack, I know him. And from what you've just said, I now realize that he sculpted a monster from the dark side of my soul. And Jack's reaction is so perfect. He's like, sculpted a what from who? Which actually also made me kind of laugh. But yeah, she goes into her story. She's like, it's true. I tried to help you by restoring my powers. I went back to India. When I got there, I set out to find the one man in all the world who might be able to help me. And so it kind of sets up this, Topaz has some more stories to tell. But also is having her soul used for shitty stuff yet again. Every time we see her, some part of her soul is being harnessed by some shitty villain.
Yeah, Rick, questions.
How does she have any soul left, and how is she walking around without the evil part of her soul? This girl must be exhausted.
She is, but she always keeps a really positive and life-affirming attitude. She loves all of God's creatures, even though she is just shit on constantly.
Oh, where is she in my life?
Yeah.
I know, right? That's what Jacob and I say every time she's in an issue.
We love her. We love Topaz.
I'm falling in love pretty quick myself. I could take that kind of abuse and just keep nurturing. It's really good.
We jump to the next page where she continues her story explaining that she knew Glitternight growing up with Taboo, and he was a sorcerer, and his name literally translated from his native language means Glitternight. But he's not Indian, right?
I don't. Do you want to open up this can?
I did translate Glitternight into Hindi.
Okay.
And it's Shanadar Rat. But I don't think that he's Indian. I feel like he was in India because he was using Taboo to better his knowledge of the magic or something, right? I mean, he doesn't appear to be Indian, does he?
No, I would think not. He looks more weirdly alien than anything.
Martian.
But yeah, I don't
think he's from our dimension. I'm not spoiling anything because I really don't remember, but I don't think he's of our dimension.
No.
So his name sounds like whatever we want it to sound like. But she remembers being a child that he would come around and whisper things in a Taboo's ear, teach Taboo like the darker stuff that he knew, the magics. When she comes back to him later, because Taboo, as far as we know, is dead, she approaches him and says, hey, I lost my powers. I need them to help my friend back. Part of my soul was taken by Taboo, so my powers have been diminished. Can you help me restore them? And so we're just trying to imagine like this guy being in your life from in the second panel of this page, she's like 6. So like this guy's been around, and I don't like the idea of this guy being around my Topaz when she's a little girl. That's all I'm going to say.
No, and she didn't like it either. She says he scared me.
Yeah.
And he's a scary looking dude.
Yeah, those are scary cloak fins. So he takes her into a separate chamber and puts her under a giant green light which emanated from nowhere. So he's a light-based villain, apparently. And then he, ignoring all mores of like social distancing or personal space, gets right up in her grill, and all this like Plug plasma and Kirby crackles going on around them. And he starts whispering something to her, and his eyes turn white. She is hypnotized. She can't move. She doesn't remember what he did. He did something while she was under. And soon the whole world became his eyes. I became terrified, for I realized that his eyes were evil, and it was evil which held me transfixed. After an eternity, in his eyes, I saw him raise his hand. My entire body trembled, and sharp pain pierced the very core of my being, pain which increased and moved up through my body to emerge from my mouth. And we get this really cool panel of him in like two-tone raising his hand up over her head and like drawing out her essence out of her mouth. And
ectoplasm.
And it's ectoplasm we find on the next panel. So he's drawing part of her soul out. And that's another thing, Jacob, that we've talked about how Munch seems to be obsessed with like turn of the century or first quarter of the century, like the spiritualism movement and the concept of ectoplasm as being proof of spirituality or psychicism, that weird fucking weird turn of the century words they use for everything. That's old, right? At this point, like ectoplasm is like an old, out of date thing. Maybe coming back in New Age. I don't know, but
yeah, I think it's coming back in the New Age movement a little bit. But yeah, like most of his references, I think that hip kids of the 70s would either not know what they are or be like, oh, that's corny shit my grandma likes.
Yeah, we weren't ready for that until 1984 when Ghostbusters came out. Then we were all ready for ectoplasm.
But yeah, that's more of even of a turn of the century thing, really. And you can think of some of those early like spirit photographs where they're, and so there's a lot of that you can see what's supposed to be ectoplasm is actually just cool camera tricks. But yeah, he's a strange guy. He likes corny old shit.
Yeah, so I found this page unsettling just because I just don't like this character. He's weird and creepy, and he's around a character that we love doing creepy shit.
Yeah, it doesn't get any better. Like the second half of this page, this next page, the art I really like. But so in the first panel, it's like, that ectoplasm from her mouth is starting to form this, topaz-shaped apparition, which the doctor then directs into this clear egg. And I was trying to think of a movie or a story or something about, essences being put in these weird, like crystal or strange eggs. Am I missing something? No,
Nope.
This is just Doug Munch being weird.
It's just weirdness for weirdness sake, which is one of the few things I really dig about this issue.
Yeah, that's true. The egg thing,
like this.
Yeah, the egg thing is bonkers enough to where I'm like, all right, yeah, I kind of like that. But the bottom 3 panels, like, they're great. They show the Doctor opening his cloak and bathing the egg with this pure darkness. And the narration reads, the black effulgence wrapped itself around the egg, permeated it. And so I thought that was interesting. Like effulgence normally is associated with like extreme brightness.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I thought it was cool. I think the light that is absence of light that emits from him, I think is his most interesting trick.
Yep, I agree. Totally. Yeah, that middle panel on the second row that is just mostly black and white, essentially with color, is really creepy cool.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, those 3 panels down there are really, really cool. Some of my favorite of the issue.
When Glitternight sealed his cloak, the egg was now opaque. It was black. And that was due to the horrible light which came from his chest. And she couldn't remember, or no, she was saying, and my soul could no longer be seen was now something sinister and mysterious. It was too much for me, Jack. I slid through a darkening ooze filled with my eyes, and I fainted. And she wakes up. She doesn't know if it's days or weeks or what later in an Indian alleyway. So who knows what happened to her. Again, I have issues with her treatment here, but okay. She went back to where Glitternight was, and everything's gone. And so she's saying, I have no doubt, Jack, that all happened. That wasn't a dream. It wasn't a nightmare. And that thing that you saw in the cave, that miniature version of me, it had to be solidified ectoplasm, somehow freed from the egg. That monster you fought was my soul. And this whole time she's been telling the story, Jack's been drawing in the sand with a popsicle stick he found, and then he just snaps it dramatically in a very close, snapped shot, which I thought was hilarious. And then she says, and now he's here looking for me. And that's when Jack notices a shadow skimming across the sand. He and Buck and Topaz are sitting down, and the flying squirrel's just drifting overhead.
The kite flies over.
Sorry,
oh,
Kite. I don't want DC to write us letters about Kite Man.
Yeah. But yeah, we get one of the best kite panels, in my opinion, on the next page. Yeah, Dr. Glitternight, he's above them saying, quite correct, my dear, with one slight qualification. You see, I have already found you, and you are mine, a prisoner in the darkness from Glitternight. And yeah, so he's that first panel is kind of great. It's them kind of bathed in this weird pink light looking up. And in the middle panel, we see Dr. Glitternight in his full flying squirrel kite mode with this great like kind of rays of pink coming off of him. But then it kind of pulls back and we realize, yeah, it's this pure darkness. And then he covers the 3 of them in this total blackness. And they just fall asleep. And that middle panel in the middle row is so cool looking. Mm-hmm. And says, so if Glitternight's arcane light fed life to his monster, it sucked the life from us. We took a nap. And yeah, and then that third panel is all black. And then they wake up. Jack wakes up first, and they realize they're tied up in the cave that we had saw earlier. And Dr. Glitternight says, so you have awakened, little Topaz, little creature of deceit. That pleases Glitternight, for now I shall punish your treachery. Yeah, his monologues are a lot worse than we've been used to. And we haven't gotten great stuff, and this is not great.
They're mercifully short.
You're right, they're not Hangman long, rants, but they're short bursts of stupidity.
Yeah. What do you think, Rick?
It just seems like when these people arrived at this beach house, they all invited in some really good hallucinogenics, and this has been turning really bad for them all through the night, or good, depending upon what you would define it as.
Yeah, I can see this being an ayahuasca weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Especially that panel that you enjoyed so much, Jacob, where they're all of a sudden passed out there in the black and the white.
Yeah, it's really cool. I love that panel.
Yeah, that's a great panel. So they have awoken. They've been bound to What is it called when the stalagmite and stalactite are joined? Does it have a different name?
See, that's what I was wondering too, because he makes such a point of saying both terms, but every time we see one, they meet. Like it's just one big almost pillar.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know that kind of bugged me.
Anyway, yeah, sorry. Okay, so they're all bound to those, and as they wake up, they realize that the beast, as they wake up, they realize that the creature, nope, we're going to call him the monster.
Let's do it.
The tentacly monster is dead on the altar, and Glitterknight's pissed. He's like, look at yourself, little Topaz. Look at my firstborn. She was to have been the vehicle of your punishment, as well as my surrogate in the coming debacle. So I think Munch is sowing some interesting seeds here. I think he had plans, because he keeps referring to, well, we'll get to there. But due to your treachery, my enemy was able to send a werebeast against me, a beast which injured my child beyond healing. And then he starts doing some weird shit out of his hands, saying, thus I am forced to withdraw its brief life. And he's like leeching out the life from the dead monster. And it says, and dissipate its energy. And then you see ectoplasm coming out of the monster's mouth. And return it to its original essence. And you see the ectoplasm forming Topaz again. He says, but your psychic manifestation shall still serve me, little Topaz, for the egg has now fully matured. And your ectoplasm, my dear, is quite malleable, quite adaptive. Believe me, this gestation shall prove eminently fruitful. And now he's fully crossing his arms and strutting around like cock of the walk. He's like, you look appalled. Did you believe your soul to be so pure, so innocent of corruption? And then he gets up in her face and like grabs her chin and gets way up in her grill. And he's like, a rude awakening then, my dear, for your soul contains vile depravity, the seed of every sin imaginable. And I shall cultivate that sin until it blossoms into the most wicked permutation of evil ever spawned, a being that will destroy you in a maelstrom of agony. And Topaz is like, why? Why do you want to destroy me? He's like, because somehow you have learned of my plans and apprised my enemy of its nature. As if you didn't know. Why else would you come to California? So this page has got a lot going on.
Yeah, you had just said that his rants were really short.
I know.
And then
yeah.
All I can hear there is like, as if you didn't know.
Yeah.
So I feel like so far, Glitternight suffers from one of the shortcomings of Golden Age characters, where he's not. I know we're just meeting him, but his powers aren't clearly defined as power set, like what he can do and can't do. Like it feels very just Golden Age. Drink a fifth of whiskey and finish the comic before the night's done so you can get your $25. Like, just nonsense. Like, how can he channel stuff with his hands? I thought everything came out of his chest. Like, why? You know what I mean? Like, he just feels like whatever you need him to do in that moment is what Glitternight can do so far. Is it just me?
No, it's not just you. It's weird, and especially since this guy is again being set up as a big bad, as an arch nemesis. And he's just so flimsy of a character. He does seem like one of those like throwaway villains from some weird Golden Age comic. Yeah, It is. It's very strange.
Yeah, that last frame on page 22 there, that was definitely the weakest. Because you learned of my plans.
Yeah.
As if you didn't know. As if you didn't know.
So yeah, I think it's interesting that he's already tipping his hand here and saying, he has an antagonist.
Yeah.
And the coming debacle, which, it sounds like a 12-issue maxi series where nothing will ever be the same again.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. No, you're right. He's laying all his cards out on the table. And as he's doing this, insanely long monologue through that page. But on the next page, we see that he has failed to notice that Jack is starting to transform. So we get this, in that middle panel, we see some furs actually happening on the chest. And then we get this kind of weird mid-transformation panel there.
Bonaducci?
It is. Yeah, it does look like Bonaducci. Oh, man, it's such a bad panel. Like, it's a really bad transformation panel.
It's so bad that I actually like it.
Yeah, see, it almost came around the horn for me, but no, I still hate it.
Because I love that there's this weird, like, when he's in, like, you know, that panel we were laughing at the beginning when he was, like, peeking through the stalagmites and watching, and his hair is, like, very clearly like this weird universal wolf man, like, it goes up and back, and it's bristly and thick. And right here, he's mid. And I want to know what's the middle stage? Because he's still got his wavy strawberry blonde locks here. It's hilarious.
He's a California beach boy there.
He's a California beach boy.
He's a wolf man with the blonde locks, looking nice. Yep. Still ready for the disco with Glitternight.
Yeah, pretty much. And then, so that middle panel, you know, the beast is fully transformed. The werewolf breaks his bonds and kind of lunges at Dr. Glitternight, who says, "What? The werebeast, the one who injured my firstborn." And then
these are always my favorite. I'm sorry, but these are always my favorite frames in comics. Are the ones that have all this action in them, as art wise. I love the ones that just have that frozen movement.
Yeah.
That one particularly, like the one below it, not as much, but I like that one a lot.
Yeah, I can see that.
Both those panels are great. Yeah, and the bottom narration says the werewolf was spitting fury and glad to be back. Like a slingshot, he lunged at Glitternight.
I love spitting fury and glad to be back.
Pretty good. It's the only line that's landed so far.
What was the one that Rebecca loves so much? When he pops up out of the water?
He broke. What is that? He broke
surface mean or
broke surface mean. Yeah, I know, it's so cool. See, I would have liked a few lines of that caliber in this issue, and we haven't gotten them.
Well, you missed one. How did he break those bonds that he was tied to the stalagmite with?
Oh yeah, he snapped his bonds like so much dental floss. Which again,
got strong.
But also because we're hearing him in the Monarch's voice, I just imagined, you know, when the Monarch is talking to Bronx Sampson and he's like, "Oh, you live above Fincher's garage like so much Fonzie." That was all I thought of.
Before we move on to the next page, can I refill my beverage?
Absolutely. Yeah, I might do the same.
Hard 3. So on the next page, the beast has lunged towards Glitternight, and he apparently can phase like Shadowcat or Bamf like Nightcrawler, and he disappears right as the beast flies through him and goes headfirst into a stalagmite.
Ouch.
And ouch indeed. And Buck says, "Topaz, he vanished into thin air." And then he appears behind where he was and says, "Vanished? Hardly, my friend. I have merely occupied a different portion of the air to confound the ignorant were-demon." And he's actually like knitted his fingers together. What do you call that? Like when you're
tenting his fingers like Mr. Burns.
Yeah, like yeah. And the werewolf's like, "Ugh?" And I like the way the werewolf is drawn there, and the inking on his fur is great. As he looks over his shoulder, surprised that this guy has moved, and then he dives at him again. And Glitternight starts shooting a bunch of little rays. They call it says, however, mid-leap, the werewolf made an unleashed barrage of bulleting light, stinging needles of pain, which at least squelched the momentum of his lunge. And we see... Sorry.
I was just going to say it's like little red light daggers.
Yeah.
Almost. It's really strange. Yeah, he has yet to do that.
And is this the first time that we've seen Glitternight's belt, which is a bunch of yellow skulls?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. So the beast is like, it's like wading into a fire hydrant, blast. He's just like pushing through, and it says, "You resist the light, were-demon. Wade through it. I'm impressed." I'm not going to do his voice the whole time, but that is how it sounds in my head.
It is.
So he says, somehow he managed to drench the words in a degree of sarcasm even beyond me. And he blasts the beast and says, "Impressed enough to expend the full power of Glitternight." And he just blasts him with this ray out of his chest and sends the beast flying back, knocks over the little stand the egg was on, and the egg shatters and goes, and a bunch of vaporish ectoplasm comes out of it.
It's the only way to make an omelet.
That's the only way to make a soul omelet. You can't make a soul omelet without breaking some soul eggs.
There you go. Break the egg.
But yeah, so the egg is broken on the next page. So this page is pretty impressive. It's goofy as shit, but this is where the monster gets to look as good as he did, or almost as good as he did on the cover. I still think he looks the coolest on the cover. What do you guys think?
Yes, indeed. This is the same one from the cover, and the cover rules over this one. He looks really goofy on this one. He looks like a dopey dog in a dog park or something, looking for a bone. And he's just like, throw the ball. That's what he looks like.
I'm disturbed that there's two separate noses. That's in a good way, like body horror way. But you go down, and between whatever its pectorals or abdominal muscles be, there's like this treasure trail of gross pubes going down towards nethers. And I wouldn't think a soul creature would. Well, actually, you know what? If this is made out of every impure thought that Topaz has ever had, there probably would be some type of sexual component to it. So never mind. I retract my.
Those are soul pubes, like
soul pubes.
I can't believe I didn't even look around the pelvis area and the double noses. I was always just amazed that he has these long eyeballs, and of course that leads to the demise. And it's like, why would you? It's a bad engineering tactic right there. Those long eyeballs, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it's weird. And in his eyeballs that are on these big tentacles, almost like a snail or a slug's eyes. And but it also looks like there's like cracked glass in like the lenses of his eyes. And this, at least in my digital drawing, yeah, it looks like they're almost broken glass.
It's bloodshot, right? But yeah, it does look like.
It's supposed to be bloodshot, but yeah, it looks really, really strange. And so, yeah, there's that inset panel up top. Says Topaz's soul was free, languidly curling from the black shards, a smudge of white vapor bleaching the air. And then, yeah, it turns into the crazy-ass monster, which is described as Topaz's sin. Then there's another inset panel at the bottom with Topaz kind of looking up, being like, oh, my God. Then that bottom narration is, and even the werewolf bristled in disgust. But cool page.
Yeah. And back to the monster. Another thing, I mean, we could talk about this for half an hour. I also love that it has these two giant gross fangs, and then between those, above its tongue, there's like craters where teeth should go, but there's just no teeth there because that's upsetting.
Yeah.
And there's just like all these weird like vaginal like sucking holes all over itself. Like it is upsetting.
Yeah, it's a weird design.
Mm-hmm.
There doesn't look a lot on it, though, that looks like it's dangerous except for those two fangs on its mouth. Like the tentacles, the only things on the ends of the tentacles are little ticklers.
Those are stingers? Like stingery claws?
They're like, oh, you're going to tickle me? I mean,
French ticklers? Is that what you said?
French ticklers.
They look like ticklers on the ends. There doesn't look a lot of... Nothing looks dangerous on this except for those two fangs that he just has that tongue flapping down.
It's separating French ticklers. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's super gross.
I think it's just a play toy. Big old play toy.
So now the next... I would have bought this, by the way. If this was like a play set, I would have totally bought the shit out of this. So the next page, it's time for the beast to tackle the monster. And the narration says, you'll remember that the first Yek monster earned the nickname Nightmare, which was from the first page that Jacob chose not to indulge Munch with reading the whole thing. Well, this cutie was twice as big, 6 times as hideously loathsome, and deserving of the nickname expletive deleted. I thought that was kind of fun. Being that, helicopter parent, Glitternight can't just sit back and let its child succeed or fail. He has to literally helicopter over it and start blasting with light and saying, "Forward, my child."
So annoying.
So it says, and the same filial form of illuminating encouragement. Let my light fill you with strength and guide you forward. So this isn't even a fair fight. This is a double team already. Yeah. So he's bathing this thing, and it's charging towards him. It picks the beast up, slams him into another stalactite. It says, first he used me to break up a beautiful friendship, splitting stalac from stalag right where they shook hands. And then it swings him into another one, which is the one that Buck is tied to. So that frees Buck by splitting that stalagmite open.
Buck was really surprised.
And then Topaz says, quickly, Buck, untie me. There's not much time. The thing was created from the evil in my mind, Buck, and now I've got to use the goodness in my mind to defeat it. Meanwhile, the beast is being thrown around this way and left by tentacles, going rah, 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 getting the crazy carnival tweaker ride.
That was good.
Yeah, it's a pretty decent page. I like those middle panels of the action of smashing the pillars is actually pretty cool.
Yep.
And so, but man, I was impressed with it, at least the story on this next page. So Topaz ends up, she's giving the beast like an infusion of psychic energy, but this time she's not trying to bring Jack's mind to the surface, which she normally does. She tells Buck, "It's no use, Buck. I can't control him no matter how hard I try. I've got to reverse my suggestive manipulation. Try to increase his bestial traits. God help me, Buck. I've got to make him more of a werewolf than he already is." So this is a new tack that she's taking. We haven't seen this yet. She always tries to calm him down and to bring his human side up so he can be, more cognizant of what's going on. But so she's putting the whammy on him, and it's making him more crazy. It says something happened then. The monster's claws no longer spiked me with pain. They just made me mad enough to rip the offense from his claws and spike it right back at him. And so, yeah, the beast is tearing into this monster, jumps on its back, and then, yeah, this is what was one of my favorite panels. So he's like prying the monster's mouth open with his claws while yanking on one of his tentacled eyes. Like that.
Eye stalks.
Yeah, his eye stalks. No, this was one of the more satisfying panels.
This was, if there were a gift for this for me, this would be Charles Foster Kane, like the slow clapping. Like, yep, brilliant. If you can't control the beast, juice the beast. Berserker mode, right? This is like when Wolverine sees red and just goes complete killer.
Yeah, I hope that she does this again, because I was like, oh, this is a cool trick to have in the arsenal when these crazy ass villains come around to just make the werewolf just go fucking nuts. Yeah.
What about you, Rick? What do you think?
Well, wasn't she at the beginning of this page trying to actually still bring the werewolf back to his human self?
Yeah.
While he was in the clutches of, it was the soul beast. The soul beast, he was in the, and I was like, why are you trying to do this? You want to bring him back to being a vulnerable human while he's in the clutches of the human. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe I should make him more of a beast since this isn't a good idea.
Well, no, she wasn't trying to revert him to human form. She was trying to bring his mind up. So in the past, she has been able to give the werewolf Jack's brain so that he can like think and reason and
smarter.
Yeah, strategize. Yeah, okay. And she doesn't have that power anymore. So she realized, I should just turn the switch the other way and just see if I can juice up the beast. All
right, I see. Yeah, because he says, I was too stupid enough not to like stop picking a fight with this beast. I see. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So probably my favorite page as a whole in here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, brutally, the werewolf wrenched on the eye stalks, effectively killing its sight. And we get this great long panel of him riding him like a cowboy, like some kind of Star Wars fucking creature.
That's another one of my favorite panels. I love that. I love that frame right there.
It's awesome.
It is rad. But since he is pulling on his eye stalks like it's a mane or like a reins, the beast is going, or the creature is going, the monster is going nuts, and he trips over a rock and then impales itself onto a stalagmite. And the beast jumps free as it says, "Shutch." I like "shutch."
It was cool.
Sound effect. And then it reverted to its true essence, Topaz's naked soul. And you see this ectoplasmic form of Topaz wrapped around a stalagmite before dissipating to wispy mist. And then we hear, "You will pay for this, little Topaz. Your were-demon has slain my second-born, but I will still triumph. My enemy shall yet suffer defeat, and on that day your father Taboo will die." Topaz says, "Taboo? But he's already dead." Glitternight didn't answer, and the werewolf just responds by, of course, lunging at him, going, "Rawr!" And he does his disappearing trick. The beast jumps through where he was, out the cave mouth, and falls entirely down the cliff onto the beach, where he does that keep on trucking thing and just starts splitting.
Awesome next party.
Yep. If the fall hurt, I don't remember complaining. In fact, the werewolf had probably forgotten it now, content to lope through the freedom of open beach and salt air. And Buck, we get this shot of him trucking off the beach as Buck and Topaz watch on, saying, Buck says, "He'll be all right, Topaz, in the morning." And Topaz says, "Will he, Buck? What makes you so sure?" And this made me think of that, the Johnny Cash Simpsons, where Homer eats the insanity pepper chili, and he's just screaming and running off, and like Otto says, "Let him go, Bart. He knows what he's doing." Topaz says, "Anyway, maybe I'm a little tired of worrying about Jack. Maybe it's time to worry about my soul, and the fact that it's going to be used in a fight with a dead man who was my father." Meanwhile, a ghostly laugh rang over the barren sand, a mocking laugh laced with the distant howl of a werewolf by night. And the teaser says, next issue, Taboo returns and Lissa turns 18, all under the darkness from Glitternight. So, Rick, this is normally where we just kind of do a recap, like our thoughts of the issue. I know you don't have a ton of reference, but you can just talk about your experience reading it. What'd you think?
I think Glitternight is hilarious and funny. I love the way he has his soul beast. The soul beast is the favorite thing for me, and I love the different incarnations between the first and the second. And I think that might be the most interesting thing, if he keeps on generating soul beasts, like how they continue to evolve and what they'll become. And I don't know, and with Topaz, I'm curious about her whole soul being split anyway, and how she's dealing with that and what she thinks she's going to do to defend it. But I don't know. The soul beast is, and that's always was my favorite frames in this whole mag, is the ones with the soul beast and how it's always lunging and where the werewolf entangled with it. Those were the most animated for me, with the most movement, the most texture and color, and just energy into them. And I enjoy those pieces the most.
You know, we probably should have talked about this at the top of the episode, but do you have favorite comic artists or writers that really light your fire?
Not per se, besides, like, I remember when I was young, I collected a lot of books and calendars from, oh, am I going to say his last name wrong? Boris Vallejo, or Vallejo?
Vallejo? Yeah,
Vallejo, yes, sorry.
Vallejo,
yes. I had a lot of work of his, like fantasy artist, and he was a big one, and I had a lot of stuff from those, and I used to put it up and copy the drawings of them when I was growing up. It was part of my artistic upbringing, was fantasy art like that. So I think that would be one of the main influences, yeah.
Do you are you a fan of, forgetting his name, I want to say Basil Golgos, who did a lot of the like famous monsters of Filmland, like a lot of those, like the more elegant cover paintings of like Boris Karloff or Bill Lugosi, like the oil paintings. Do you know him?
Well, I'm sure I am. I'm sure
you do. Yeah.
Of, like who? Yeah, I'm not who's identified there. Yeah, but I'm sure I am if I knew who it was. Yeah.
Cool. So, any writers that you gravitated towards throughout the years, or no?
Not in particular, no.
Cool. Okay, so it almost sounds like you want me to send you the follow-up issue so you can have some closure on this. Would that be correct?
Keep them coming, Matt.
Yeah. I feel like it's fucking Glengarry Glen Ross up in here.
Yeah.
Coffee's for closers.
But so Rick, normally after we go through an issue, Matt and I, we're big fans of letter pages in comics, especially Bronze Age comics. And Matt normally chooses a letter of Weremail by night to read. What do you got? What do you got on deck for us tonight, Matt?
Well, I'd like to hear what you thought of the issue first, Jacob. Point of order.
Point of order,
Jacob
indeed.
Smells.
Yeah. No, I think this is a goofy ass issue. This is not one of my favorites by any means. And I almost feel like, I mean, this is one of those hindsight things, but I think that we maybe should have had more guests in the first half of the run.
So you have to explain so much when somebody comes on cold?
Or just so you can have someone come on in like a fucking Jerry Conway, Mike Ploog issue, like a high bar, of the first, of that original run. I feel like we're apologizing as we should to guests sometimes when the issue isn't exactly even representative of what can be really good about Werewolf by Night. Like, I think this is a fun issue. It's goofy, but I don't think it's either of our favorites.
Well, it's a shame that we just booked out the rest of the run of the show with a bunch of guests and realized that.
Hey, well, I'm in it to win it, but we'll be apologizing slightly.
Yeah, I feel like we're goofy forward enough to really embrace, like, I see what you're saying. I do, and I agree. I think the biggest thing is more the continuity thing. Like, once they realized this was not a flash in the pan, it was going to last more than 2 years, they needed to establish some continuity and some recurring characters. That's when it becomes complicated to have a guest on, where you're like, okay, so there's this guy Glitternight, and he's weird, and he likes little girls, and he shoots light out of his chest. Like, that's where it gets weird. Because I don't want to send somebody homework. Like, not only do you need to read the issue for the episode, you need to read this Wikipedia page on this character. Like,
Yeah,
that's when it's weird.
I don't even know if that's completely necessary, actually. I mean, like you said, I came in here with no context, but I sat down and read this, and I enjoyed it. There was, even though there was a lot of silliness to it, and there was so much, I did laugh at. It was, I enjoy the artwork, I enjoy the color, I enjoy just the banter, and it is light, I'm not gonna take it for more than what it is, and it was a good break in my time, and I sat down and I had a good time reading it. So
good,
and that was totally in a void too.
So no regrets.
No regrets. I don't think you'd have to apologize to anybody, really.
Okay.
I don't think you should. Don't apologize.
I'm going to cancel that edible arrangement that's winging its way to your house right now.
Yeah.
And have that sent back to me.
You should have sent a 6-pack.
No, and I think
as well.
You're right, Rick. I mean, I think this issue is a good balance of just you can come in this issue and you kind of know what's going on. You can kind of get a feel for who some of the main characters are. It's funny, even 4 or 5 years from now at Marvel, once, and definitely in the 80s to the early 80s, once Jim Shooter takes over, he kind of had that edict of like, every issue can be someone's first issue. So you got to lay out the whole fucking story in like the first 3 pages of every issue. So no one's going to come in cold and some 5-year-old kid isn't going to be like, what the hell's going on? So, I mean, I actually think at this point in Marvel is a good balance of that, where there's the episodic storytelling, yet it's still simple enough that you're not going to come in totally confused.
Well, for me, that's how because I didn't have as much comic background as you guys, so that's how I always lived in comics, just shooting in real quick and out again and back. And so I think you can get an essence of the characters. You don't, I know it's probably you're getting a lot more of it if you have tons of backstory, but I think you can jump in and be able to still have a good time reading through it.
You should be able to. That should be part of the medium.
Yeah.
You know, and without having to do, like Jacob was saying, Shooter's edict of like having the first 2 pages of a Spider-Man issue being him thinking thought bubbles, swinging through the streets of Manhattan saying, well, ever since Uncle Ben died, blah, 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 and Aunt May and blah, 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 and J. Jonah's going to have my ass if I don't get these things, and if I miss another class at NYU, I'm out.
No, that's totally horrible. Nobody wants to hear all that. That's just totally boring.
Yeah. For me, this was fun. I liked the goofy stuff that we talked about, the black egg, some of this, the kind of just almost stream of consciousness, non sequitur kind of things that Munch does in here, as far as like just, you know, a weird cave with a black egg and a dais and an ectoplasm 1/3 scale topaz. Like that stuff tickles my naughty bits. But Glitternight just being this random Glitternight just being this random dude who seemingly can do anything. Again, we have to give benefit of the doubt to Munch. He seems to be sowing seeds, so he has an idea, but as an introduction, this is not like my favorite issue. And again, it's not a character that people love, so it was kind of fun. Jacob and I were pining for Topaz to come back for a couple months in our time, and not quite the triumphant return, but at least she came back scarred and kind of damaged. I mean, not that needs to be done to a female character to make them interesting. I'm totally against that, but like just having her come in with baggage that is fodder for storytelling is an interesting approach. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, not my favorite approach. I mean, you know, no. in the best Topaz issues, she's super strong and a perfect partner for Jack, and they work great together. But yeah, she keeps getting into these situations, or the writers keep putting her in these situations where she's, just kind of either, her soul or essence is manhandled by these sorcerers. And I'm anxious for that to stop.
So I'm wondering if some of that is actually an editorial comment of, you know, it's a problem when you have this dyad that one is the brains, one is the brawn. You put them together and they have a super effective force. It kind of removes a bunch of barriers and conflict. I wonder if they almost were saying, like, you can't just have Topaz. I mean, like we were saying last time, she's essentially Jean Grey. I mean, she reanimated dead gypsies and had them just going on doing someone else's will for months, or like she's so powerful that she's actually needs to be held back, right? It's like Harrison Bergeron, like she needs chains and shackles to ground her.
Yeah, I would think so. But she has like also one of the most kind of pure and good hearts of the Marvel universe. And I think that even more than a Jean Grey character. So I would think that would be more interesting to see that just her pure goodness keeps that power in check. And I can see that as a trajectory for the character that maybe would have been a little cooler.
No, fair point. But I'm saying, like, it removes too many barriers in Jack's and the Beast's course, so that keeps his Charlie Brown karma kind of woe is me. Not, I mean, he's not woe is me, but like she removes a bunch of barriers to Jack's problem. And so it dramatically changes the way he is as a character as far as conflict goes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I can see that you're saying that a lot of these decisions are just made for a good story, because it has to have conflict. It has to have different things. And so, yeah, I see what you mean.
I totally agree with what you're saying about her purity being her check, right? Yeah. I mean, that does work. Let's do Weremail by Night. Rick, will you choose between 1 and 3 as a letter to be read?
3.
Okay. Okay, so it's funny. There seem to be like 3 types of letters, and one of each is present here. The first one that you didn't choose was someone saying, here's what you're doing wrong with the book.
I didn't choose that one.
I know. The second one is saying, loved it, blah, blah, blah. Did you notice that the Beast fell down by Lon Chaney Jr.'s handprints? That's kind of a funny thing. Don't know if you guys noticed that. And the third one, this is Jacob's least favorite. There is a series of letters, Rick, that are from people who seem to really get off on saying they're werewolves or having knowledge about werewolfery and lycanthropy. And Jacob hates these, and that's what you chose. So here we go.
I wrote those.
Here we
At
go.
least a couple are from me.
All right.
Okay, you ready? Dear Marvel, I hereby declare Jack Russell cured from the curse of werewolf. Yes, people, you heard me right. If a person were to call a werewolf by his human name when in wolf form, he would be cured. And do you know how many people have called a werewolf by his human name? Here are other cures. That 3 drops of blood are to be drawn from the forehead of the werewolf by hitting him there with a knife 3 times. Another is to slit the wrist of a werewolf and wait until he collapses. Then he must be fed and bathed and sprinkled with whey for 3 days and given laxatives. Then the werewolf should be given doses of aloes, daughter of time, wormwood, epithymus, slender birthwort, pulley, squill, cataplasms, and phlebotomy. 3 other cures are 1. That the werewolf not eat meat for 9 years. 2. That the werewolf kneel in the same spot for 100 years. A little long, ain't it? 3. Or have their blood drawn by a priest. Well, that's it. But if you'd like, I'll write a letter on all the ways you can become a genuine werewolf for the desperate. Good luck on Planet of the Apes. Eddie Kmitt, K-M-I-T-T, Eddie Kmitt, from North Royalton, Ohio.
Why didn't he just put in there how you can become a werewolf? I mean,
Wait, I'm sure the editors are desperately seeking ways to cure their title character from being the title character.
Yeah, the end.
So here's the response. We'll admit that we don't understand why you wish us luck on our dollar-sized Planet of the Apes venture, but wishes of luck are always welcome, as are your sage words on the ways of the werewolf. But as you probably already realized, all members of the Marvel Universe do not conform to all supernatural laws, especially since we know of no actually documented cure for a victim of this hairy curse. If we knew of one, rest assured that it would be used somewhere in our plot. And do send us that letter on how to become a werewolf, Eddie, because Doug Munch has been dying to try something kinky on his days off.
that's what I'm talking about. That's what I was saying. Yeah, exactly. That's what I would have wrote, too.
So, Matt, did you notice a tone change since technically, I guess, this would be Len Wein doing the letter call?
Slightly, yes. A little softened.
A little softened, not so judgy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not so Roy Thomasy. Definitely. So that's the letter column. So, Rick, sometimes here in the show, when normal humans stop listening, we go on for a little bit longer if we've been like doing what we call like werewolf multimedia. Sometimes we watch a werewolf movie, which we didn't do this time. We'll talk about what we're reading in comics or what we're listening to, what movie we watched recently. So I think Jacob has something. I have a little something to talk about for a minute. Do you have...
Well, related to the comic universe, I've just been, it's not in paper form, but I've been, I recently just watched the Watchmen series, the new one. I mean, that was I talked a person into giving me their HBO Max password, and I saw the new one that came out, and I thought it was really interesting. I know it's old now. It's probably old news to you guys and a lot of people, anybody's listening. But, and then I went back and just, we've been rewatching the movie as well, revisiting that and really appreciating the different storylines that intertwine between those two series, the series and the movie.
I feel like I can't remember when Watchmen came out, but was it pandemic? Was it right before the pandemic?
It was before. I think it was before the pandemic. Yeah.
So I feel like you're saying like, a lot of people that are listening have already watched it by now. But I mean, I think that there was such a glut of watching during the COVID year that people, like we watched it as it came out. I think a lot of people just watched other stuff and like, drinking from the fire hose of media just for comfort during this last year. I think it's totally worth bringing up again. So you liked it?
Yeah, it was an interesting story. And I was reading from the writer afterwards. I was researching a little bit too, and how so I was wondering if they were going to do a second season, and he's like, no, I told the story I wanted to tell, and I'm done with it. But if somebody else wants to pick up the reins, they're fine to do it. But that's the story I wanted to say, and I'm done. Like drop,
So cool. I know. I read that same quote from him, and honestly, when I saw that HBO had signed up for a Watchmen series, I was just like, Well, we can undo the Zack Snyder damage, maybe, and do a little more grounded in reality and what more Alan Moore wanted. He'll never like it, but we can, reapproach. But then when I started, no, it's not. It's Watchmen existed in 1985 when it happened or whatever, and now it's now in that world. I was like, this sounds like a terrible idea. And then I watched the first episode and I was like, this is fucking brilliant. And thought that pretty much every aspect and every storyline in the thing was fucking brilliant. I loved it. And I would, I love that I respect him for saying, is that Lindelof or who did that? No, it was it?
I thought so. Was it?
I can't remember. Who said, I told my story, so I'm not going to drag it out, but I love the idea of like another showrunner coming up and saying, because I mean, it is a rich world. And I love that they didn't retread a bunch of stuff. They didn't retell things. It was like this very organic, like sense of like Watchmen happened. It's like a microcosm, right? Like you just let it go like in a simulator, and that world goes with AI and it just builds stories. And he just went in there and told one of those stories. Like it felt very natural and not forced to me. Like this is what, and very relevant for the times, right? I mean, the fucking like Rorschach's right-wing creepy shit became the cops. I mean, like,
yeah, of course.
The relevance of what's going on in society now with the story was like, bam, on the head, and the way that you're saying, they didn't try to regurgitate the old characters. Like Rorschach, was like, no, that's not the old one. This is a whole different breed of animals that took on his face. And yeah, it's totally reinvented. And I thought that was really interesting because at first I really missed the old Rorschach. I was like, 'cause I loved, the original. I was like, what do you mean? This is not him, man. I wanted to see this guy again, But then of course I got totally sucked into the whole plot of it. And that was, bygones be bygones. So yeah, it was just cool.
Very cool. What about you, Jacob?
Well, I guess comic book wise, I went and picked up my box at Excalibur last week, and the issue that I really, really enjoyed, it's the second issue of the new Swamp Thing run. It's not, I think it might be a limited series, maybe a maxi series, but I think it's really great. I think it's one of the, I really liked the two shot that they did a couple months ago that was the future state that kind of jumped ahead in time.
Okay, I didn't see that.
And that was kind of almost the end of what, probably was an Alec Holland character. But there's this new Swamp Thing series. It's on the second issue. It's by a writer named Ram V, and Mike Perkins does the art. And
who's Ram V? His name's all over that Man-Thing stuff too.
Yeah, he's a newer artist. He's a guy from. Yeah, I can't remember what I listened to an interview with him. I think he only recently started writing comics. He worked in like advertising or something for a really long time. And his shit is really, really cool. He's just kind of starting to become a bigger name. And Mike Perkins is like a fucking superstar. Like, he did work on Ed Brubaker's Captain America run. I think the last thing I saw him do was that Lois Lane series with Greg Rucka. He did the art for that. And he's fucking awesome. So it's this new series that's part of DC's like Infinite Frontier line. That's when like new characters are taking over for the established characters, which I mean normally is a terrible idea, but I actually think a lot of it is working. There's a new Superman, a new Batman, and so this is actually a new Swamp Thing.
So wait, can you elaborate a little bit? Is this like in DC's tradition of like legacy characters, like the Flash mantle being handed down to Barry to Wally?
Yeah, it's kind of like that. And but I don't read a ton of DC comics, and the ones that I do seem to be out of the main universe continuity. Trinity. And so I only kind of peripherally know what's going on, but I do know that a lot of the main characters in the last month or two have been replaced for a short period of time with different characters. So it's not Alec Holland that's the Swamp Thing in this. It's a man named Levi Kamei, who's from India, and he takes the mantle of Swamp Thing on. And they don't have a lot of specifics yet, but it definitely taps into the horror comic tradition. A lot of body horror, a lot of really cool shit, and the art is insane. So I don't really know. I mean, we don't really know what's happening a whole lot. They kind of just drop you into this world, but I'm in. I like it.
So is the Parliament of Trees in it yet? Like,
not yet.
Is he chosen? Okay.
Yeah, it's weird. It kind of drops you in without a whole lot of information. I guess that Alec Holland, I think the Alec Holland Swamp Thing died in Justice League Dark or some comic that I don't read. Wow. And so I think this is, that set this up. But I mean, Swamp Thing is kind of a mantle that's passed down over 100,000 years anyways. So.
And I sure loved that. What was that? That was New 52, right? The Rot World. The 3.
Oh yeah, Snyder's. Yeah, Snyder's run.
Snyder's. Snyder's Swamp Thing. I really dug it.
I did too. I think it's probably my third favorite run after Moore and after the original Len Wein, Bernie Wrightson stuff. Like it's good shit.
Yeah, great stuff.
So no, they're still doing good stuff with Swamp Thing. You know, that he hasn't had his own book in a long time, but they've done these one shots. They did that winter special that had
Halloween one.
Yeah, that Halloween one that was really good. So they've been kind of sporadically publishing Swamp Thing, but I kind of like that because they just save really good stuff. And so, I'd like just one square-bound volume a year if it's just going to be kick-ass stories. And that's what they've been doing. So they've been doing a good job with the character.
Very cool. Huh. Okay, so that's an ongoing?
Yep, it's an ongoing. It's on the second issue right now.
Very cool. So I posted some pictures. I've been going through. I saw the Shelfie Sunday. People were posting their comic collections. Mm-hmm. And my wife and daughter are out of town on vacation right now. So I thought it'd be a good time to kind of get my office in order. So I was kind of going through all that stuff. And that's when I found a bunch of those comics Rick gave me for my birthday stacked up on the side of my shelf. But and I realized I have this whole Moon Knight run. I took a picture of those, but I was trying to sort out my things. So I figured I should bind them. I mean, I might have like 4 issues missing from the first, I don't know, Through the Fist of Khonshu. I should probably just get them all bound, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been reading a ton outside of that, but I have been watching a lot, and I've been watching, the Leaving Soon page typically drives what I watch on stuff. So I'm a Shudder member, and they had the entire Val Lewton RKO run of his early films there, and I decided to watch that, and I've had this podcast from the BBC called The Secret History of Hollywood, and this is a sub-show within that run called Shadows, the films of Val Lewton. And I've always wanted to watch Val Lewton's films that he produced for RKO. I know the reputation, how beloved they are, and how they went above the B budget and B titles and stuff like that, and were very dreamy and nuanced and whatever. So I thought, well, my girls are out of town. I'll just plow through this. I'll watch a movie. I'll listen to the podcast based on it. The podcast is done by Mark Gatiss, the writer for, Sherlock and Doctor Who and whatever. So I've been watching his films and listening to these episodes of this podcast after each one. And it's amazing. These two things together. It's like taking a college course on Val Lewton's production career. It's amazing. So I highly recommend anybody check that out. The first episode is 2 hours and 10 minutes, and it's just his birth up until he leaves David Selznick and accepts the offer from RKO to head up their new horror wing. But it's still amazingly well done. But the episodes after that are a little shorter and just cover each film, but it's super good. So I've watched Cat People, I Walked with a Zombie, and The Leopard Man so far, and just loving it. It's lived up to the reputation that it has of old horror movies and stuff like that. It's great stuff. Jacob, I think you're a fan as well.
Oh yeah, I'm a big fan of his films. Yeah, I downloaded that first episode of the podcast when you were texting me about it. I'm really excited to check it out. Yeah, I love Val Lewton.
Yeah, just bear in mind that first episode is very it's a bio. It's a documentary.
Yeah, I saw the length on that, but okay. I'm okay. Yeah, the last one that we watched, that Alicia and I watched, was The Seventh Victim, which is so good.
Yeah, that's my next one.
Yeah, I think that's your next one. I think that's the 4th one he made.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I'm just loving it. And after listening to that Cat People episode, I practically stood up and started applauding at one point. That it's so masterfully done, the way these are scripted and performed, and the audio and the music they did for them. So yeah, great stuff. Highly recommend it. Cool. Well, I think that's all I got. So is the next week just you and me?
Yep, it's just the two of us next week in the next chapter of the Glitternight story.
And I'll send that to you, Rick, so you can read a PDF of that.
Yes, I have to keep up with Glitternight one way or another. With or without you guys, I will be with Glitternight. I think I always have been, but now even more.
Yes. You've always been the caretaker.
Yeah.
Rick, thank you so much for taking the time out to read this comic and then talk about it with us. I've loved having a chat with you, my friend. I miss you.
Hey, miss you too, man. Can't wait to see you again in person. Nice hanging. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and remind people where they can find your Instagram feed.
Shearing clay on Instagram, as in shearing, like cutting hair on the sheep. Right
on.
We're always anxious to hear from people. So I think if you want to send us an email, it's werewolfbynightpodcast@gmail.com. And then, any reviews anyone would like to leave us on any podcast platform, Apple Podcast, Spotify, whatever. Leave us a 5-star review. It will help us out a lot.
It will. We had a letter come in thanking us for doing the Monsters Unleashed episode, which was an audio drama that we produced with full cast. And we've got several of those now. And thank you for that feedback. It means a lot to us. We put a lot of work into that. And they had a suggestion of maybe we could do another one. And they were thinking like this 3-issue storyline could be done coming up here. I don't know about a 3-issue storyline, but I thought, wouldn't it be kind of fun, sowing a seed here on the air, of maybe doing the middle of that 3-part story arc as a audio drama and using the art from the book and making it be a video podcast with the interactive art, panels changing with the audio performance. So got me interested.
Hey, I think that would be awesome. But of course, just like our last audio drama, it would involve me doing like 4 or 5 hours of work and you doing like 100 hours of work.
Not that much.
So as long as you're okay with that.
It's more like 20.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Still, it's a lot of work.
Anyway, planted a seed. All right, folks. Well, thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Rick, for being with us this week. It's been a blast.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
All right, till we meet again beneath the full moon, furry ones, here's howling at ya.